Well, obviously, this was one of the wins that you really wanted. It seemed like all week you were just itching to get at Mike Perry. What was it about him that got under your skin?
I mean, do I have to even say it? But, you know, I mean, there's parts of me that really want to just give him a verbal lashing right now for the disrespect. I never met the guy. I never did anything to the guy. I understand that he's trying to make a name for himself, but there's ways about it. You know, there's ways when you're maybe creating a Twitter beef that you're trying to hype the fight. I understand that. But when you're flicking me off at breakfast and my team and making remarks in the lobby every time I see you, and we're in a small hotel, and you got your girlfriend there, and she's being no better, man. She's laughing in my face at all his stupid jokes. It made it very personal. It made it... I don't hate the guy now. It's done. It's over. He's going to go his way. I'm going the other way. I'm going to the top. He's going whatever direction. I wish him luck. But I'm just hoping that from this performance, it humbles him, and it makes him realize that if I'm going to be in this game for a long time, he says, I'm not here to make friends. Okay, don't make friends, but you need to learn to respect people, your peers, people that are working with you, the people of the production, the people, your opponents. You got to learn how to show some respect. I said every interview, I don't like the guy personally, but I respect him as a fighter. He didn't show me or my team 1 ounce of respect, and he was very disrespectful. So it wasn't so much wanting to rub it in his face as much as it was I couldn't allow myself to lose to somebody like that and have to go home and tell my son that I lost to the bully. I told him that, I always tell him Dad stands up to bullies. I don't tolerate bullies. And he asked me, he said, Dad, why'd you kick that guy? Why'd you try to kick that guy at the weigh-in? And I told him that, I said, look, he's a bully, and I tell you, we don't tolerate bullies. So it was just that, it feels good to get it over. It's more so just getting the fight over with. It feels good. I just wouldn't have wanted to have that loss on my record and knowing this guy, this disrespectful guy is the one that did it. So
how satisfying was that then for you?
Very satisfying. I mean, I was looking for a mic. I was looking for Brian Stan, somebody to interview me. I had a million things on my mind. I didn't get to talk, so I guess I'm going to talk you guys' ear off for a little while.
Well, what was on your mind right after the win?
Man, I've said it in every interview thus far, and I'm going to say it again. Before this fight, I've been on the cuffs of the rankings since I stepped foot into the UFC. My first fight against a UFC veteran, I get fight of the night, knockout. Since then, this is my 8th, 9th fight in the UFC. 3 wins in a row. 5 out of my last 6. 3 fight of the night bonuses. 3 first-round knockouts. 2 standing elbow knockouts. I mean, I could just go on and on. Nobody in the division is more deserving than I am of being in the rankings. Nobody in the division who's not ranked is more deserving than I am to be in the rankings. And if there's anybody with equal amount of wins or so, they're not doing it with the type of style points that I'm doing. I'm not disrespecting him. Take Kobe Covington, for instance. He's a badass fighter. But I guarantee you, he's not putting guys away in the first round like I am. He doesn't have to reach fight of the night bonuses like I am. And if you ask the fans who they want to see on a burn of a card, who they want to see headline an event, they want to see Jouban before anybody else. So I need to be in the rankings come next week. I deserved it. I've showed the UFC time and time again. This is the 3rd win in a row, the 2nd undefeated prospect they've handed me that I've handed the first loss to them. I want to see my name in the rankings next week, and I'm ready to headline. Give me a rankings, put me in those rankings, and let's headline some cards, man. I'm ready to do it. I'll even take, I got nothing against these guys, but the winner of Mickey Gall, Sage Northcutt, if those are the big names, they got co-main event on this card with guys like Uriah Faber and myself. So if those are the bigger names, let me fight one of those guys. I like them, but I'll fight them on a main event or anybody else in the top 15.
How frustrating is that do you feel like the UFC's, I mean, it sounds like you feel like the UFC's not giving you that love. It's got to be frustrating. I feel like
the people within the UFC show me a lot of love. Every time I come here, everybody's very accommodating and welcoming, and everybody loves to, I love to work with them. It's great, but I'm just not seeing it as far as, I was the underdog in this fight. I believe going in, the Vegas matchmakers had me as the underdog. I'm the proven guy in the UFC for 2 or 3 years now that's taken on guys. I've had my slip-ups, but if you saw my last fight, I won that fight with a broken hand, and I had almost a flawless victory up until then. All I did was pick up from where I broke my hand in the last fight and started this fight in that way. And that was my goal this fight, flawless performance. I lead the entire division in strikes per minute, strikes landed, power strikes landed, knockdowns. I lead the division in all these stats, yet I'm not in the rankings. And I said, you know what? I got to go on a tear this year. I got to go undefeated. 3 wins in a row, 5 out of my last 6, get some bonuses, get some style points in there, and I did it. I've done my job. They need to do theirs now.
We've kind of seen the last couple of years that it's not necessarily just performance that gets you those kind of big fights. What do you feel like you need to do in addition to going out there and beating these guys?
Well, that's what it was. That's why I said, you know what? I'm not a big talker, and I don't disrespect anybody in the UFC, but I got to call out some names. And before this fight, after the Bilal fight, you know, I called out Matt Brown on Twitter. He had something going on. I called out, I keep forgetting the Canadian dude that fought Anderson Silva. Patrick Cote, thank you. Called out Cote. He didn't want to fight yet. And then I was in New York for 205. 2-hour notice. I said, look, Cowboy needs an opponent. I'll step up right now. Called out Cowboy. That didn't happen. That wasn't Cowboy's fault. It was the commission didn't allow it. But that's the difference. I said, you know what? Maybe I just need to call out these big names and make it happen. Let the UFC know, look, you can trust me. I'm a go-to guy. I always bring it, and I'll be here last minute if you need me. I'll call out the big name. I'll call out Matt Brown, who nobody wants to fight that guy. I've been doing it. I've been trying to just plant the seeds and let them know, look, I'm a gamer. I said, if that's not going to work, let me show it in the octagon. I've showed it in the octagon. I feel like I've done everything that I can. I just want to see it next week. I just want to see myself in the rankings. From there, I can mentally move forward. I'm real big on goals and setting my goals every year. Throughout the year, I redo my goals. And it's hard for me to move forward and say I'm ready to make that title run without having a ranking next to my name. Let me check off that ranking, and then I can start working my way towards the belt.
Are you just maybe unhappy with the modern way of selling fights, the Mike Perry way, just, you know, basically F you, I'm the man, you're a jerk, you know, that doesn't seem like you, but that seems like the way fans want to see, the UFC wants to see. I
don't love it. There's definitely a place for it. The Conor McGregor era has changed the way that we hype fights. Social media and you could make a fight on social media by calling somebody out, creating a beef. Their fans get into it. You create fights that way. I don't love that way just because it's not who I am. I just don't. I have a thing about being too disrespectful, and I don't like to do it. But I'm opening up to bits of it. What I mean by that is, I called out a couple guys this last fight via Twitter. As long as you're not doing it in a disrespectful way, that's just my personal preference, then I'm all about it. But yeah, man, like I said, if traditionally winning fights isn't doing it, then you have to have something else. And mine may not be talking trash, but I'm winning with style points, and I feel like that's what's always giving me the advantage over the other people. I'm creating the knockouts, training the fight of the nights, doing fun stuff inside the octagon, and I'm a guy that fans want to see fights. So I don't talk trash, but I'm winning with style points, and it's got to give me the edge over everybody else.
Who would be an opponent next for you that you'd be satisfied with, that the UFC did you right?
Man, I wish I had a guy in my head, but like I said, I had 3 guys in my head, and I got none of them. The end of the year still has some more fights, and I feel like the division's still kind of shaky now that, what's his name, Gastelum is out of it now, and then I think Mike Brown might be out of it now. So the division's kind of changing right now, and I feel like there's 2 guys that are now out, which should put me right there on the cuff, especially after this win. Then there's a fight in December 30th, see who loses there. And after that, I feel like either way I should be in there. But what I'm getting at is, once I've gotten into the top 15 and I see where the division stands, then I'm open to fight anyway, but I don't have a specific name. I don't. I'll take anybody in the top 15, and like I said, I'm open to even fighting, even though these guys aren't top 15, like Mickey Gall, Sage Northcutt, only because they have they're giving these guys co-main events. This Mickey Gall's got like 2 fights and he's in a co-main event, and I like both those guys, him and Sage. But if they're the bigger names and that's going to get me the draw to main event a card or push me higher up the rankings, then I'm down to fight whoever.